Okay, I think the cheering has stopped. It's a little bit difficult to hear. I wanted to say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the best university in the world. I was elected to send a message, and that was that people deserve to have a voice in government and that justice has to be seen to be done. Now, you're arriving at this university at an extraordinary time of change. The world is more complex and evolving at a faster rate than it ever has for any class before. And you and the capabilities and knowledge that you develop here with a little bit of skill and hopefully more than a little bit of luck will allow you to change the world. Now, there are cynical people in government, in private society, in the press, who argue that everything we do as civil society, that everything we do as a community, as an academic sector, as a common human family, doesn't amount to much. We change things, but they're not so big. Uh, Reforms are made, but they aren't really determinative. I would argue that that's completely false. When we look at what's happened in the last 2 years alone within the United Kingdom, we see that there was a system of mass surveillance that had been put upon the public without their knowledge, without their consent, and overseen only by a secret court called the Investigatory Powers Tribunal, that in 15 years never ruled against the government a single time. Thanks to people like you, that's changed. That same secret rubber stamp court has now ruled against the government on multiple occasions. You are increasingly having a say over the way your government operates and the boundaries, the limits of your rights. Now, for the first time in many years, they're once more beginning to expand. And if we can do that in our country, in our countries around the world, our community, we can do that around the world. We can enforce human rights through new means, through the things we discover, through the ideas we generate, through the technologies we create, to reach out and provide people with new liberties beyond borders to which they've never been entitled before. We can create a freer and better world. Now, the danger of this is that even as we make progress, there are measures step by step in all different parts of society which push back for different reasons. They feel threatened by the advance of the progress of civil liberties. They like the status quo. They like the measure of power to which they're entitled. And that happens even within the academic sector, I'm quite sad to report. Now, as rector, I've been contacted by members of the Student Representative Council. I've seen stories in the newspaper that indicate within Scotland, within the Parliament, there's a new bill called the Higher Education Governance Act, which represents a real threat to the financial and academic independence of the university system, of the oldest universities in Scotland and every other one. Now, more than anything else, one of the most significant, one substantial change for the ancient universities is that it will dilute the student and university voice in determining your own government, how you want to be ruled, how you want to be represented on the most senior bodies. And this means that the four ancient universities could lose their position of rector entirely. Now, beyond that, it means things like the buildings that you work in, the funding that you can generate through grants and charitable statuses could be lost entirely. And while this may seem a little political for people who just arrived in the university, what you need to think about is this is a decision that if you do not participate in it, you will lose influence that you once had. You will lose rights that you once had. You will lose representation that you once had that you will never be able to receive again. Because this is something we see around the world as far as how rights work. The only rights that you enjoy are the ones that you stand up for. So I'll cut it short here and say, you will be, I think, the most capable class to come out of this university that has ever come before. And working together, you can achieve things, do things that no other cohort has ever been able to do before. And that's not just an extraordinary opportunity, it's an extraordinary responsibility. And it is my honor to serve as your rector. And I have to say as well, this is Freshers Week. Don't forget to have some fun. Thank you.